Brothers in Tech is a weekly podcast focused on personal and home technology, helping provide you, our fellow brothers and sisters in tech, with some information, assistance, and recommendations. Hi, how you doing, Brian? How's it going?
Good. How are you, Alan?
I'm doing great. Great.
Oh, I'm incredibly prepared for what we're doing right now, and just been doing a little tech prep here, so all is good.
Yeah. So Brian was having a little microphone issues before recording time, and this is part of the joy of deciding that we're going to go live with our show. Is that when we say we're going to go live, it means we're going live at a particular time. And Brian having a microphone issue 3 minutes before we go live was it's fun, right?
Well, I mean, let's be honest, Alan. It was an incredibly complex, deep neural networking sort of problem that I was having, and I had to rewire a few things and really dig deep to figure out what this problem was. And
I'm pretty sure you just had the mute button on.
Yeah, it turns out I did have the mute button on. And so my new mic, or used mic but new to me mic, well, I guess I never knew there was a mute button on the very top of it. And so
the more you know.
Actually, anybody who happened to listen last time, which is the last time I used this mic, it switched on us. And turns out that's what happened, that I must have touched the mic button on the very top. Yeah. Or I'd say the mute button, not mic button. Yeah.
Before we get into any of our regular topics, this is Brothers in Tech. We talk family, home, technology. We talk, new gadgets, new apps, new websites, new things that you could use in your own personal life. We have covered microphones before in an episode. We've talked about microphone equipment.
I don't remember us ever covering the mute button.
No, I was going to say we left off a very important chapter in that episode, and we should have spent a good 10, 15 minutes on if your microphone has a mute button on it, like physically on the mic, you do need to make sure that that mute button is not on. So that's
yes.
Brian, we could stop the show right now, and I think that is helpful information that people are able to walk away from just from this little 3-minute
today's
episode.
Learning, right? Today's learning.
But we are going to move forward with the rest of the show now that Brian is able to talk and I'm able to.
Are we? Because I'm not sure what I'm going to do. That was my prep time. So we'll see how it goes here.
Well, welcome to Brothers in Tech, everybody. My name's
Go ahead.
Alan Jackson. Over to my right is Brian Jackson. We are brothers. We talk technology. Every week we get together, always focusing on home, personal, family technology. And once in a while we get together, maybe about every month or so, and we have our Brothers in Tech Suggestions episode. That is our BITS, B-I-T-S, the acronym that my brother worked very, very hard on developing.
Countless hours.
See, Brothers in Tech Suggestions, B-I-T-S. That is the acronym he has created. And not a day goes by I'm not super proud of you for that, Brian. That was
thank you.
That was one of your shining moments for sure.
Well, I mean, to be proud of me with one thing in my life is really the real reason we did this podcast, was to gain some level of pride from you. So thank you. Thank you.
You got your one item from me, so that helps. We talk about our suggestions. Brian and I both bring to the table some tech suggestions. It could be a website, it could be a mobile app, it could be a gadget, it could be any of the above. It just needs to be something technology related that we have either started using in our lives and we want to recommend to others, or maybe something we've used for a long time. We just really want to make sure people know about. So it's always kind of a fun episode, Brian. I normally end up spending money after this episode because normally you will recommend a couple of things that I end up getting, and vice versa, I believe. Right.
That is the personal show of pride that each of us have, if we can make the other one spend some money. Yep.
So here we go. Yep, drink. Okay. Nice. Time that just right. But Brian, before we get into our picks, you and I both have, I think, 2 picks to share, right? 2 official picks or Brothers in Tech suggestions we're going to give, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So before we do, a little housekeeping, little setting the table notes for everybody. I'm going to give a pre-bit. That's a bit before we get into our bits. A pre-bit.
I'm glad you.
Because
Yeah. Did you just name that? Did you
I
just
did
name that a pre-bit? Okay.
the
Yeah. I'm gonna
pro-bit.
note that. Pro-bit. Pro-bit.
This is not my official bit suggestion, only because I've got two coming up in a little bit that are a little more universal. And honestly, I think I've kind of mentioned this before, but I have to mention it again because of my situation just in the last 24 hours. Okay. So Brian, before we get into our bits, let me just give a little story. So we own a house that we moved in here about 2.5 years ago, I believe. It is an older house, a 1950s built house. We've done a really good job of replacing most all appliances throughout this house over the past couple of years to make sure that we've got, good, reliable, modern appliances throughout the house. One thing we have not replaced yet, and it was on my list. Honestly, I spent 3 days ago a couple of hours researching and looking at some different options for replacing this and getting some facts and figures and quotes together just to see what my best option was going to be. And that is my hot water heater. Okay. So our hot water heater is still pretty old. It is also woefully small for our house, I've learned, because we normally end up waiting a really long time for hot water if we get it at all after somebody else takes a shower. So we knew it was on our list to replace pretty soon. Lo and behold, though, at about 1:45 in the morning this morning,
Oh no. Oh no.
my hot water heater decided to make that decision for me and say, you know what, you're going to replace us. You're going to replace me now. So it did break down on us.
Oh no.
And so we are without hot water at the moment. Now, the reason I'm bringing up a pre-bit before we get into our bits is I want to sing the praises of a device I know I have mentioned before, but I have never had the chance to use in practice before.
Like purposely use, right?
Yeah, until 1:45 this morning, it was used. And the item is a water leak sensor. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody, if you're watching this, if you do not have some way of sensing water leaks in your house, I strongly recommend you do this. This is the water leak sensor I have. It was part of the security system that I invested in when we moved in this house by Abode. ABODE is the system, the whole security platform that you can buy different modules and door sensors and window sensors and motion sensors and everything. Well, they sell a water sensor. And I'm letting you know right now, actually, as of the time of this recording, it is 50% off, ending tonight, unfortunately. So if you're listening to this as a podcast recording, I apologize. I would still encourage you to go check it out and see if they're still selling it for this rate. But this is a water sensor. It is a small box. It is currently $40, although it's normally $70 on their website. This is the device I have down in my basement. I have it sitting at the base of my water heater. And the way this works, for anybody not familiar with these sensors, this is a small little box. It's probably just a couple inches tall. It sits on the floor, and it has very, very sensitive sensors on the bottom of the device. So you set it down on the ground, and you want to set it in a place where if there were to be a leak, like for example, my hot water heater, I need to place this in a spot where I know water would come to it if it started leaking. So that is what I have. I had it down at my water heater, and sure enough, at 1:45 this morning, I hear, even in this thing is in the basement and I'm upstairs sleeping, I hear this really, really loud alarm sound. It's coming from the basement from this little device. Plus, it's also because I've got it tapped into my home security system. It's also coming over my phone. And I've never heard it before because I've never had a chance to use this to actually see it in practice. It was louder than I could have possibly imagined, but luckily it woke me up immediately. I was able to go right downstairs, follow the sound, see what was happening. I see that I've got water gushing out of this hot water heater, and I'm able to shut it off right away. So luckily I'm in a house right now where my basement, there's nothing on the floor that was going to get ruined if the water had accumulated too much, but I still didn't want to deal with that headache. So the fact that I was able to shut it off, honestly, within about a minute of the leak starting is amazing to me. So technology to me works best when it takes something that we are using a portion of our brain to have to remember or to think about or worry about, and it's able to take that away. And to me, a water leak sensor takes away a major concern I always have in my head is what happens if a leak starts in my house and how long will it be before I know about it? It has removed that concern for me. And even though I'm not happy with the situation I dealt with last night, I'm super happy that this sensor was working the way it was and did what it was supposed to do. So
Dude,
anyway,
yeah, that is pretty that's pretty scary, because I haven't had that occur yet. We did have to get a new one, but it was based on a visit. Someone came and showed, oh, you know what, you have a potential gas leak sort of thing, so let's replace it. But
yeah,
to have it actually go out now, all right. So let me make you feel a little bit better about the situation. You got every bit of use out of that hot water heater. Congratulations, right?
yes, I
You
did.
you actually are someone who did not waste any years or months or even days
It's
of your
true.
water heater,
That's very
right?
true. Yep.
I bought one and I constantly thought to myself, did I have more time in the other one? Could I have lasted longer with the other one? You, however,
Could I have had more time
could I,
with my hot water
could I just
heater?
have a little more time, just a little more time together?
No, I'm
Um,
very happy that yes, I've maxed it out. Now, the repair guys are coming tomorrow. We do have to contend with the fact that we have no hot water for the next at least 24 hours. My only problem, and I'm not going to get into a big conversation about this, just it is a little tech related, I guess I can mention. I was just in the midst of researching whether we were going to go, whenever we did decide to replace this hot water heater, with a tank or tankless hot water heater system. I've been researching this for quite a while. When Suzanne and I, my wife and I meet and talk about what we're doing on the house, the number one item on the list is say, well, first off, we've got to do something addressing the hot water heater because we know our time is limited with it.
yep.
It's just a shame that, now I'm having to make a forced decision pretty quickly on what to do with it. So I'm
Well, I'm
intrigued by
sorry,
the
man. That
tankless water
stinks.
system. I think I like the
Yep.
idea of saving energy and being more efficient with it, but I also know it is more expensive and it's going to be more of a process to get it installed if I chose to go that way, because they actually have to burrow a line into the ground leading out of my house to give it. There's some reason a pipe needs to go out of my house from where the tankless water system would be. And it's just going to be more involved than just bringing
So
in
wait
a
a
new
minute.
tank. So
Sorry. So tankless. So my impression with the tankless was always that you had to have something at every spout. Is that not what
no,
you're
you can
talking
have a
about?
centralized water. You can have a centralized tankless
Okay.
water heater
Okay.
system that can go down in your attic or wherever your hot water heater is now. And a lot of them are ones that can be mounted on the wall or something. They're not big, giant
Yep.
tanks. And that's a whole house system where the water, just like the hot water heater,
Okay.
the water
Okay.
flows through it.
Yep.
The difference is with a
So it's
tankless
probably
system,
coils or something, right?
the tankless system, it is more meant to be more instantaneous. It's not
Yep.
bottling up 40 gallons of water and trying to
It's
keep
a
it hot.
it's a lot less waste of
That's right.
electricity because you're not
Yep.
heating water all the time and waiting for it to be used. You're heating
That's
it when
right.
you need it. Yep. Yep.
So the understanding is that your gas use or electric use would be much lower than a traditional water tank, but it is more involved. There does have to be some piping that leads out of your house, and it's more expensive to set up. So I'm unfortunately at a crossroads system now where I got to figure out what I'm going to do, and it's not ideal. I don't like being pressured on any kind of decision like this, but anyway, back to my pre-bit. This is it. I think whether it's an abode or whether it's just some other, I think at my office, I've got a Honeywell water sensor. That's just a standalone. It didn't need any kind of hub or anything. It just worked on its own and connected with an app on my phone. Whatever you do, a water sensor is critical, I think, especially if you've got a spot where a water leak could get out, do some damage, and you may not know about it for a while because of the location, whether it's in the basement or under a sink or anything else. So that's my recommendation right off the bat before we get into any other bits for sure. But
Well,
unfortunately,
that's a
way too
very
fresh on my brain right now.
yeah. I was going to say it's the emotions are high, and yet you got through that fairly well. Thank you.
Thanks.
You still made it
Yeah.
an educational experience for all of us.
I tried.
So Shall we take a minute? I mean, do you need a minute?
I need
You
this.
need a drink. Yeah. There you go. Whiskey sour.
No, this is a old fashioned.
Oh, old-fashioned. Ooh, look at you.
Yeah, old fashioned. Yeah.
Okay.
Mixing
So
it
that's
up a little
that.
bit.
It's that kind of night. It's that kind of
It
night.
is. It's
right?
an old fashioned.
Yeah. It's an old-fashioned night.
Whiskey sour night is I got a ball game to watch and just kicking back and relaxing. Old fashions are my okay. It's been a day, and let me get through this. All right, Brian. Let's get to our official bits.
Yeah.
On this. You and I both have some tech related items to share and recommend to others that they check out as well. Brian, I just did my pre-bit, so why don't you go ahead and start us off with your first one? What have you got for us?
Okay. All right. So
are you ready? Are you prepared?
I am. I'm sorry. Did I mute? Can you hear me? No. Did I touch the mute?
No, you haven't touched the mute button yet. You're good.
I know where it is now. Okay. So Alan, the first thing that I'm going to, so both of mine tonight are apps, right? So there's no hardware. And let me further make you happy, especially after the money you're getting ready to spend in your house. Both are free. So therefore you are not spending any money on my bits tonight. So you're welcome. Okay. So let me backpedal to a bit that I made probably a year ago, Alan. Do you remember the app that I brought up called Hand Mirror?
I do. Yes.
Do you remember that one? Yeah. So for those that don't, Hand Mirror was a very, very simple but yet incredibly useful app for those of us that are using webcams, where in your menu bar you can click on the icon. It drops down a little window that shows you what your webcam is seeing right now. So basically, right before you jump on a Zoom call, you quickly click on it to try to see, am I in the right place? Is my background lighting okay? Does everything look all right so that I can jump on my call? So it's that pre-check, right? Well, and I ended up, when I moved to this current computer several months back, I had forgotten to put that app on. I'd forgotten to transfer that app over, and I remembered it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Let me go look for it. And then I realized that the person that made that app has some really cool stuff on his site. So let me share with you the window. Okay. All right. So the person that made that app, the developer, is Raphael Conde, Conde. And you'll see, first of all, he has an incredibly cool website. You can see he's got his own image there, kind of sliding up for those who aren't seeing it. It's a dynamic web page where his video of him kind of poking up above the part of the page. So, and if you scroll through here, here's Hand Mirror. Here's the app that I was talking about before. Incredibly useful. I downloaded it. I also realize now that after downloading it again and kind of getting the updated version, this one actually has a paid version. Not that you need to pay for it, Alan, but they have created a paid version for a couple of new features. One of which I think is incredibly slick. So, Alan, your Apple or your MacBook Pro has the kind of little notch at the top of the screen, correct?
Yep.
So if you update or you upgrade Hand Mirror to, I think it's $4 to get the premium version. One of the features is that notch becomes your Hand Mirror trigger. So instead of actually taking space in your menu bar, your mouse goes up to that area, and that becomes the drop down. So it's basically you take your mouse and go up to where the camera is, which is where that notch is. And by the way, the notch, for people that don't know, that's like on the more current iPhones, and I think even some of the Android phones are doing this now, that there's a area of the screen at the very top where the face selfie cam is. And on the new MacBook Pros, it's the same thing. On the screen, the very top, there's like a little notch that drops down, and that area is unusable because that's where the camera is coming from. So there's an actual, let's see, I want to see if this will show me that same. So I'm looking here. This is the typical way to do it, which is what I do. I click on the little icon at top. It drops down the image of what my webcam is seeing, and I believe, let's see where the. Okay, so here, Alan, you can see on the screen that this is an example of the notch. So you can see the person's notch here that it's got the notch trigger. So the idea would be, I believe, that you don't even have to click on it. Let's see. If you have a notch, you do click. So you basically move your mouse up to that notch, click, and it recognizes that I'm going to drop down your mirror now. Now, people may be wondering, like, why is that helpful? Well, it's helpful because if you have one of the problems with the notch is that it takes away space of your menu bar. And if you happen to have a lot of menu icons like I do, there's a ton of things up there. And if you can then utilize the space of the notch as being your trigger for one of those things, it means it doesn't have to take space in your menu bar. So you have your space for everything else. So anyway, sorry, that was that's not my pick because this was a pick from before. My pick. Sorry, I spent all that time
you
on
talked about for the last 8 minutes. It's not your pick.
Sorry about that.
Gotcha.
I actually kind of forgot what my pick was there for a second.
No, really?
but when I downloaded Hand Mirror, as you can see on this website, I looked down below and saw something called HiDoc. And HiDoc, another incredibly useful app for a very specific situation. And Alan, let me quickly explain why this is helpful for me. So HiDoc is an application that also goes in your up in your menu bar, but all it does is it allows you to determine what your dock is going to do. So the dock being, for people that are not Mac people, your dock at the bottom of your screen that gives you all your icons to choose from. It allows you to choose where your dock is going to be whenever you connect to external monitors. So, for example, people that have been listening know that I got a new monitor. It's a pretty wide monitor. Well, maybe I decide that, with a wide monitor, I always want my dock to be bigger because now I have a really wide monitor than if I didn't have the monitor connected. Or if I have an external monitor plus my laptop open, I only want the dock in a certain place. Maybe I want it on the left. Yeah. So I downloaded this and tried it. It's incredibly slick. You just basically tell it its defaults and say, you can see here on the app, I'll kind of scroll in so you can see an example. This is the app in the back there, but it basically says on the left, if I have my display only, so if I'm just going off my laptop, what do I want the dock to do? Do I want it to be shown? Do I want it to be on the left, on the bottom, on the right? And how big do I want to be? However, when I have an external monitor connected, I want it to do something different. And when I have multiple displays, I want it to do even something different. You set it up once, keep it running, and then the moment you plug or unplug an external monitor to it, your settings now change. And this is not something that was built into Mac to begin with, which I think was kind of an oversight. And for me, what I ended up doing just to try it out is I said, well, when I'm working on my laptop, I would really rather my dock be smaller and hide because I don't have that much real estate and I don't want to waste it when I'm working on things. But when I have an external monitor, I would like that to be always visible, and I'd like it larger. And maybe even I want it on the left because I always want to know where it is if I have multiple monitors or something like that. So, I mean, incredibly easy. Yeah, slick.
And it makes great sense because, yes, if I'm working on my laptop by itself, if I'm out somewhere, I've just got my laptop screen, I like my dock being at the bottom just because I feel like that's probably the best layout for my laptop use. But yeah, if I'm here with an external monitor, a big external monitor, I think to myself, all right, maybe I'd rather have the dock over there.
Right.
Just because I want to keep my laptop screen as open as possible. And I've got more real estate on the external monitor to put the dock on the side possibly. So the idea is with the HiDoc, as long as that's running, you can configure that. So if I were to unplug this external monitor, my dock would automatically switch down to my laptop position. I plug the monitor back in, it goes back and immediately transfers back to the position I wanted with an external monitor. Correct?
Yep. That's exactly right. And
Nice.
now I'll tell you the one thing I wish it did, and I don't know yet because I actually haven't tried it on the multiple display. So if you see on the right over here, the multiple display, meaning I'm not just using an external display,
Yeah.
I'm using the external and my laptop. What I would like to have it do would be, where does the dock show up? If I connect it to let's say, extend my screen, say I'm using an external monitor and the laptop, but the laptop is the extended, I want to be able to tell it I always want it over in a certain place.
Well, but look at the little icon there, Brian, for the little sample. It looks like it's showing up in both displays.
It is, but see, that's what I would like to change. I would
Okay.
like to say,
You want to
you know
choose
what, when I
one
plug it in
designation
here,
or the other.
put
Yeah.
it to the far left, but only on my
Okay.
laptop.
I got
Now,
it.
maybe
Yep.
that works out because Mac allows you to do that. Mac allows you to tell you which screen your dock is going to be on. You can kind of designate that in the displays. So maybe those work together with it, but I would love it all to be here. I'd love it all to do that one thing. And in the example, when I go in to teach in a classroom and I plug my laptop in at a podium and it's projecting up on a big screen, one of the challenges is I always like to extend my screen with the external screen that I have. I want that extended as opposed to mirrored. So I don't want them to see everything that's on my laptop. I want them to see an extra screen so that I can keep documents in front of me and then slide them up there when I want them to see them.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do that and I have to go over and take my mouse over and try to figure out how to click something,
Yeah.
it's really hard because now in the room I'm in, it's projector. I can't see the mouse very well. I don't know where it is. I don't know how it's going. So I'd almost want always to make sure my dock kind of pulls over into my laptop screen, or maybe it's bigger so that I know that it's always available. But so I think this does the right idea. This is a good step. So, and he's got several other things that I would just encourage people to go and look through, things about creating websites. And so
what is his website again?
The website is Rafa, RAFA .design. RAFA.DESIGN. Yep. Rafa.design. So
Okay,
HTTPS Rafa.design. And incredibly, just really, really slick stuff. I mean, he's got even some simple ones like a little app for your phone where you can make noises if you want straight from your watch. He's also got a booby track, which is, if you are breastfeeding.
Breastfeeding. Oh,
breastfeeding.
That's funny.
So you might want to download that, Alan.
I'll keep up with
that.
But,
several things. And I think Sketch actually is one of the
I'm familiar with
new
Sketch.
things.
I've used Sketch before. Yeah.
And so he's part of that group. And
nice.
Yeah. So really, really nice stuff. So I highly recommend. He's also somebody that doesn't tend to charge. He's got free apps, but then will say, if you'd like what you see, donate. And I think I will probably donate some money because I really like what he's doing and would like to see him continue to do that. So
good.
So there you go.
All right.
There's my first
design.
one.
It is the hidock.app is another way to get to it. HIDOCK.app will get you to the page just for HiDoc, which was Brian's official recommendation there.
There you go. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Not bad. Brian.
HiDoc. All right.
I like it. Okay, good. I have added that to my possibility purchase list. I'm going to kind of experiment a little bit and see if it's downloadable. If I give it the downloady worthy accolade to my computer and choose to use it or not. But I like the dock management side of it. That's really nice.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go a different direction, Brian. This is a website I'm going to recommend. And here's the thing with me and traveling. Okay. So like going on vacations or traveling places. And my wife and I are kind of the same way, which is good because we typically travel together. We typically don't like to go somewhere and do the touristy, traditional tourist trap locations when we go somewhere and visit. You go to New York City, there's like the punch list of things that you're supposed to see if you're visiting and the more traditional things. Well, we typically, when we travel somewhere or we're going to be on a weekend trip somewhere, we like to find things a little off the beaten path. We like to find a little more unique places. Maybe some things that have some historical relevance, but also just odd, unique, very, very different types of places to visit. That's more our speed than going and saying, well, here's the 3 or 4 places that have gift shops that I'm supposed to go visit, and I'm kind of obligated to go visit when we go somewhere.
So you want to go
So,
look for the seedy
well, maybe
pornography
not
shops,
necessarily,
or
just more
the,
unique, just more different, just more eclectic places that, I
gotcha.
don't know, a little off the beaten path, not somewhere that's going to have a line of people to go see it or anything.
Yep. Agreed.
So I've been a real big fan of a website that I've used for a couple of years now, whenever we do go travel anywhere or have a weekend trip somewhere. And it is called Atlas Obscura. Are you familiar with this, Brian?
I am not at
Okay.
all.
Atlas Obscura is a website. And I got to find out about it a while back because a podcast I listened to, a political podcast, actually, one of the hosts of that show became the CEO of this company and was kind of promoting it. So I started checking it out. And it's great. It's a website. I'm showing you the website because the website's a little better than the mobile app. There is a mobile app, which obviously is convenient if you're traveling to use it while you're traveling. So I do encourage you to use the mobile app if you like this. But I think if you're thinking about going somewhere and you want to kind of check out some unique locations around it, the website's good for that. The way Atlas Obscura works, you come to the homepage and there's a lot of just great articles about travel destinations and some interesting stories about different locations you can visit. But really what makes this site work, what makes the service work, is this button right here that says search the Atlas. Okay. If I go to search the Atlas, it asks me, okay, what do I want to search for? I want to search for destinations. I'm going to go ahead and say places near me. I just want to see what places it pulls up where I am right now. Now, if I was on the road, if I was traveling and I click this places near me, it's going to use location services to determine where I am and show me things around the actual area where I currently am. Right now, I'm in Hickory at my home, so it's going to show me things around here. So if I go to places around me, it takes a few moments and then it will spit out on a map. These are nearby places of interest. Now, some of these items are ones that I would consider to be somewhat touristy, like things that people would typically go to. Believe it or not, here in Hickory, North Carolina, if anybody's not familiar with the area, one of our big historical tourist attractions is a covered bridge. That's it. It's a covered bridge with a cover on it. And it is historic. It is one of only
Should I
two
sing the
remaining in
song?
North Carolina. Yeah, there is a song. We learned that in elementary school, didn't we?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Bunker Hill.
Cover. No, my gosh, what are you doing? Oh, please stop. That's not at all it. Sorry.
That wasn't it?
No, that wasn't it. Bunker Hill, covered bridge, 1 mile east of the Claremont Ridge.
Oh, that is it. That's good.
That is it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what you were saying. Was that the national anthem you just sang? I don't. What was that?
I basically, if I don't know a tune to a song, I just do it to the national anthem and just put random words in. That's what I do. So it's showing me that is a number 2 location. Okay, that's fine. But look, all right, here's the number 3 in Morganton, North Carolina, which is only about 20 minutes away. Green Eggs and Ham. I can go click on here and read a nice little article. Here's an eclectic store that sells obscure vinyl recordings of Charles Manson and Jim Jones, along with many other oddities.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a nice write-up about it. I mean, it tells you everything you need to know, things you need to know before you go. And it shows you who contributed to this posting. So it's a true community of people who are contributing these articles about these interesting places to visit. So I got all the information. I've got the map. I can punch it into my Google or Apple Maps and I'm ready to go. So I can go back to my map. I can start to look around. Okay, here's a site that is Twin Poplars, but it is telling me, hey, it's permanently closed right now. So this is a site that would have been an interesting place to go see a couple of interesting trees, but it's closed. Lake Norman is just a lake in the area. That's a little more of a broad thing to kind of tout. Here's my favorite. The House of Mugs in Collettsville, North Carolina, a cabin completely covered in coffee mugs. Visitors are welcome to leave one of their own if they can find an empty nail. And you see that the number of people who have clocked in said that they've been there or how many people want to visit. And I can see a nice little slideshow of the places. Where this is really nice is if you are traveling and you're in a town or an area and you're curious what there is to see around there that may be of interest. You open up this app, or you can go to the mobile version of this website and just say, search around me. and it will give you a list of all the interesting areas to visit right around you. So I just love this because these are the kind of places I typically would want to go instead of the more traditional places. And it's nice having a little write up about it. I can actually read before I go take the journey to go to this place. It's exactly the kind of tourist things I want to be doing. There you've got a homeless Jesus statue on a parish bench. The International Lineman Museum, Brian.
Oh, I've been thinking about that.
The Carolina Raptor Center is actually kind of a known place.
Yep, I've heard of that.
Gravestones. They have interesting people that have gravestones in cemeteries. The Church of the Frescoes. Brian, you and I as kids, I remember our parents took us there to go see these fresco paintings in the inside of an old church. So again, and you see it on the map off to the right. So again, I could kind of plot a little bit of a trip. I've done this many times. I've actually said, we're going to be in X town this coming weekend for something. Hey, honey, let's pull up and see if there's any interesting places while we're there. And we've got some hours to kill that we want to go check out. And we've actually found places from this that we've gone and visited, and it's been great. So there is a mobile app. I will say the mobile app, I wish it was a little more user-friendly than it is. It's not the best mobile app for this, but if you are traveling and you are planning on using this service, I would recommend going ahead and downloading the app anyway, because there's a nice one single button to say, hey, show me things around me where I am right now, and it will do that. But I do think if you're something where you're planning a trip and you want to look ahead and you're not on the road yet, but you want to start planning, the website's a much better tool for doing it because it's just easier to navigate, I think. So that is atlasobscura.com. It's free. I mean, you can sign up and register. There is, I think, a paid membership if you want to do even more tracking of your own sites that you visited and kind of be a part of the community online with other travelers. But if you're just wanting to use it as just simply find me some nearby places to go visit, I love it. This is exactly what technology ought to be doing for us, is organizing all of this kind of information into a great place to find and making it easier for us to check out things we want to check out. So
love it. I love it. Yeah, I will definitely be checking that out. It was just clicking into it. It looks like it's still, it has to be contributed to. So obviously there are places where you're not going to get, some information, right?
But, yeah. Like even in my hometown of Hickory, if I zoom in on the map where I am, there's one item, and that's the number one item on the list. I do have to travel outside of the area a little bit. You go to a bigger city or you go to a kind of historically rich area, you're going to have a lot more. I mean, if I zoom out, Brian, you see on the map here, well, that's showing me just around me. But actually, there was a place, if I went and looked on the map, if I searched the atlas, and if I search for Charlotte, for example, Charlotte, North Carolina, it's giving me it's kind of a curated list. It's giving me, if I just type in a city's name, it will show me some of the more interesting things to go check out there. But there was somewhere I saw, I mean, where it was, where it showed me the whole map. I don't want to waste any more time trying to find it. There's a place where I could actually go in and see all the pin marks around the entire country.
Right.
And it's just, there are thousands and thousands there. So yes, your mileage may vary based on where you are at the moment, and if there's a lot of interesting places that have been contributed to that area. But it's great if you're taking a trip, because go ahead and punch in the town and it will show you things around that driving area of interest to see.
Yeah. So Alan, if you just click at the top of the screen in places, if you just click on places, I think that'll get you to where you want to go.
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
So if I were to zoom in on just the United States, for example, you see all the places it's got logged. So, I mean, there are tons of places to go check out and visit. But again, it's going to be a little more in either historically rich areas, or bigger cities are going to have more to explore than some areas. But still, it's a lot to play with.
Super cool.
One or two things to kind of explore and do when you're on a day trip or a town you're not familiar with. This is a perfect way to do it. So
awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
Atlasobscura.com. So
very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
Great. So that's my first one. What's your second one, Brian? And then
okay,
each left to share.
Well, so my second one Alan, I don't know about you, but I have still not gotten to the point that I am 100% comfortable with the email client that I'm using. And I'm
Mhm.
still searching for the perfect email client. So just a little bit of history. Alan and I have kind of gone back and forth on email clients over the
Mhm.
years. I originally encouraged Alan to use Spark, which I still think is a great project. Spark's done a really good job, but had a lot of quirks, especially for Alan. I think some of the snooze options, right? It would snooze and never come back. Or for me, there was some issues with search features, searching your email. I did not think was very good in Spark, and so I ended up going back to Apple Mail on my desktop. Alan, I think
Mhm.
you might have done the same.
I
Are you
did for
now
a
with Apple
while.
Mail? Okay, are you back
I'm
to
back to
Spark?
Spark. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I went back to Apple Mail, and still not incredibly happy. I think it's good. It's obviously integrated incredibly well within the computer. On my phone, I went back to Outlook, which I still claim is probably the most solid email client for your phone. I've never had any problems with it. It's not sexy. It doesn't have a lot of extras, but it does exactly what it's supposed to do, and hardly ever have any troubles with it. But I did find one that Alan, I tried a long time ago, and I don't remember why I stopped using it.
Yeah.
So I was in the mode of trying lots of different email clients, but I just went back to it, and I find myself being really excited about it. So let me present to you
Mhm.
one that I'm sure you have tried in the past. So Edison Mail.
I've never tried Edison Mail.
Okay,
Tell me
so
about Edison Mail, Brian.
yeah, let me tell you some of the cool things about Edison. So I will say I'm right now only using the iOS version, and the
Okay.
iOS version's very slick. It's got some really cool additions. I just downloaded a few minutes ago the Mac version, and I'm kind of interested to see how that works. But let me show you a real quick little spin here, Alan. Actually, no, let's not do that. That was a video. So what makes Edison kind of cool is it's got a lot of these extra features that seem to make your email experience, or at least that portal experience of email, a little bit better. It does have the focused email
Mhm.
versus the non-focused, so it divides up your email to what you see on the front page are the things that it thinks you really need to be paying attention to, and then it puts on a second page, and I'll show an example of that in a minute, kind of a other type of email. So that's usually the subscription, the newsletters, those things that it thinks you don't really need to be focusing on right away. It's able to do that. It's also able to supposedly do a really good job of, getting rid of some of the newsletters and things that you don't want to unsubscribe you, which I find is a really goofy thing in a lot of apps when they say they're going to unsubscribe you, and I don't really know if they do. Um, the other kind of cool part is that it also ties in some other things like Amazon. So you can log into your Amazon account, and you have then a tab that you can then see. Here's the boxes that are on the way. That when they're coming, rather than having to go to the Amazon app itself. If you've got travel built in, so let's say you got an email about your upcoming trip, it's going to then register that as travel, so that you can show that on a tab. It's got a number of really cool things. So you see here, easy subscribe, focus email. You can pin your messages, which is fairly, easy to do in lots of these situations. But you have snooze, you have undo send. Blocking senders is pretty easy to do. I was pretty happy. Alan, I'll show you in just a minute when I bring it up. But one of the things that I despise about emails, on an iOS device, I really feel like I need to be able to do everything one-handed.
Mhm.
So if, for example, I'm wanting to select and delete multiple messages, I want to be able to do that one-handed. And there's a number of apps that you click somewhere on the screen to say select, back on the messages, back on the other side of the screen to say delete. That doesn't work for me, right? I want one hand, meaning one side of the screen, and Outlook does it pretty well, where you can just click and hold on a message. It selects it, then you click the others, and then click to delete. This one does a pretty good job of that as well. So here's some of the things that I was telling you, that it will bring in like a tab for travel. It'll bring in a tab for some of your purchases that you have, things that are still, you can see over here, open table, if you want to click over and see like, what do I have coming up? And it's basically taking all the information that's in your email when you get email confirmations of these, and then presented it to you in a really nice way. It supposedly does a good job. I've only been using it now for about a day. It supposedly does a pretty good job of picking out scams for you, recognizing if they are potentially a scam, which I think is great. I don't think many of the email clients are doing a good job of that and picking out when you're getting a potential scam. So, so I'm pretty excited about it. Let me actually see if I can share my my phone.
So I've been quiet the last few minutes while you've been talking about it, because I have
Please.
been reading about
Downloading it. Oh, reading about it. Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I yes, because I'm still not in perfect email. I'm not in a good, perfect email place yet. Even though I'm using Spark, I'm very open to suggestions right now, because as I even looked at my Spark inbox while you were talking, the issue I have with Spark in that I will tell it to snooze emails for a later date, and it will sometimes do them as someday, which means they will never show back up unless I go and look for them manually. I looked at my box, and there are 5 emails in the someday category that are not ones that I told it to wait till someday. I had specific dates I told it to snooze till. So yes, I'm still, even though I'm using Spark because it's 98% of the way where I need it to be.
Right.
That snooze issue is still a deal breaker for me, and will cause
You're
me
still
to
up.
jump ship right away.
You're still up. You're still up for at least up for
Absolutely.
awareness of other things. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, let me show you, Alan. I'm going to show it to you in action. And again, it's fairly new from me again. Let me stop that screen.
Yep. Bring up another one screen here.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. So a couple of things just while I'm digging in here. It does have lock screen capability for little apps here. If you'll notice at the top, the widget. And that one was kind of cool. I haven't seen other email clients do this, but that's the most recent email, new email. So it shows you like what's your most recent new email. So in case and again, you can tell it to only focus on the focused email. So this shouldn't be like junk email coming in. It'll just be the one that's appropriate. Okay. Sorry, I got my face out of the way here. All right. So the other thing is it does allow widgets for the screens, the home screens, not just the lock screens. You can see this one's kind of nice. It allows from the home screen, I could click right away that I want to compose something new, go straight into to Edison. You can also see the unread emails. Okay, it's only going to list the unread ones, which is kind of nice too. All right, so I'm going to click into the app here. And you'll see that things are looking fairly similar to others. A couple of the things that I really like, Alan, I've never seen an app that does this down here, where I can actually see the documents that are attached. Right there on the email list. You'll see at the top, and this I haven't tried yet, but I'm interested in it. It allows you, I think it gives you an email if you would like, and maybe even let that email be kind of like your to cover up what your real email is. So it kind of gives you a second email that you can choose, and
like a masked email you could use for signing up for
exactly
subscription.
Like I think mail does as well, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So I'm going to say no thanks there. So you can see at the top, there's the focused, right? Focused is showing me what it thinks is relevant. And of course, I haven't trained it yet. A lot of these I can tell it, nope, that shouldn't be there. If I click on the other at the very top, now I get to some of the other things, right? This is what it believes is not that relevant right now, or not that urgent. Okay. You've got newsletters and all of that. If I go over to the left over here, you can see I've added a couple of email accounts, but then I also, the one that's blinking here, that's what it's telling me I could create an on-mail account through them. I don't have that yet, but I could click and have them create me and email. Down here with subscriptions. So this is the assistant side is kind of cool, like the travel. If I click on travel, well, there's a trip that was in my email. Okay, obviously that's not a trip it's not an upcoming trip, but this was something it found in my email of travel through probably Travelocity or Expedia. You can see at the top, I can scroll through. These are my trips because it's finding the receipt for those in my email. Packages, you'll see some of my Amazon deliveries, the ones that have already gone through that I can track. And also I get rid of the Walmart. Let's see, deals and entertainment. I haven't tried any of that yet. I don't even know entertainments. There's nothing going on right now. Got bills and receipts that it's showing me some receipts that it's found in my email. So it's kind of nice in that it automatically, there's some AI back in the back going through and giving me that information. I'm going to go back, Alan. I haven't done the snooze yet, but it looks like it's like others. You can swipe and get it to snooze. And if you do a snooze, it allows you to choose when you want it to snooze. So that's good. If I click a new message, I also kind of like this at the top. It gives me suggestions of the last few people that I've emailed. If I just want to click on them and say, oh, well, Kevin just emailed me, so I'll click Kevin. I don't even have to type much and go straight into it. I'm going to delete that. Let's see, this star at the very top. Okay, this was kind of cool too. This was the assistant. So that star button, I'm going to go back. The very top right up there, the star next to the search takes me to the assistant. The assistant is all of these suggestion things like, hey, I've got suggestions on a contact. Would you like to update based on what I received from Kevin? Would you like to see what's on your calendar? I can enable it and then connect my calendar. So that would show up here. So if I did that, let's just see what that does. Yeah, so it's going to give me what's coming up with my in my day, what's going to be upcoming. I can slide through and get the things at the top. So it's kind of got this assistant thing going on, which I like. I think I would use it. Search. All right, I'm hoping. Supposedly, search is pretty good. That's one of the things I really have not liked with Spark, and I'm hoping that it does a better job than that. Okay, so remember I said one of my big issues was selecting, like I want to do it one-handed, right? Yeah. And the nice part is I'm just going to click on this top one, this Yahoo, just click and hold, and it automatically selects it. And now I can go and click on the others, which is what I like, right? Now the trash or for me, it's archive that I put at the bottom, and it does that. And I did all that with my left hand, which is great. I don't have to reach to the other side of the screen to do part of the selection and all that. So far, so good. Alan, I think it's worth a look.
So I've already been configuring my email accounts using Edison Mail while you've been talking.
Oh, have you?
Not an indictment in how long you've been talking. It was a really quick process. But yeah, so Brian, I'll tell you right away, this is checking all my boxes, so I'm kind of getting excited. I'm trying to temper my excitement a little bit. Here's my background on this. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but Spark I love, but the snoozing issue has been a challenge for me, and it's a bug that I've made them aware of, and they are not going to work on it because they're already moved on to the new version. The new version is a monthly subscription version. I'm not happy with the new version yet. It does not have all the features that the old version did, so I don't want to pay for a new version. So I'm at the older version having to suck up this issue that I'm dealing with. I've tried Outlook. I do like Outlook for the Mac. The problem with Outlook for the Mac is there's not a really good system for templates. I have email templates I send out on a regular basis, reports I send out, other things I send out, like 60 at a time. I have to use a template for. If not, I'm not going to handcraft and copy and paste 60 emails each time.
Yep.
So I had to have templates, and Outlook didn't have good templates. I really like Apple Mail, but Apple Mail doesn't do snoozing, which I rely on completely as well. So I've yet to find that one perfect email program. So far, Edison Mail has got them all checked. Now, whether they do them all well, I'm going to have to try to put it through its paces and see. But so far, I'm liking everything I see. And another issue is Spark, minor issue, but Spark would not allow you to change the font size of your email on your desktop version, like the list
Oh,
of
right.
your emails.
Right.
So I
Mm-hmm.
always felt like for me, they're always so much bigger than I need them to be. I want to see more on a screen than bigger font size. And there was no option for changing that. Right away, Edison Mail, there's a slider to change that text size, like right away. I'm like, okay, this is kind of working for me, Brian.
Yeah.
In like
Yeah.
5 minutes, I'm kind of sold. So I'll have to
Yeah.
report back and let you know once I get all my accounts loaded up and see how it works for me. But so far, so good.
Yeah. And I had, as I mentioned, I just downloaded. Did you say when you downloaded, you were downloading the desktop?
Yeah, the desktop version.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just opened the desktop. It looks kind of
So,
slick.
Brian, is there it's free, right? I mean, is
It's
there any
free.
subscription model to it?
I'm looking at the license. There's a license here. But
But
no, it
nowhere on
does
their
not
website is there
say
any kind of
purchase.
pricing. Nowhere is there a purchase option. The license just shows a full license document for the app. But nowhere am I finding any kind of purchase information. Again, not saying that I want
Sure.
to pay, but I do want to find out if there are some features or things on a paid level that we need to be aware of. I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing any either. Alan, do you know what
What's the
Yipit?
catch?
Do you know what Yipit is?
Mm,
YIPIT? No,
no.
because at the top of the announcement page or at the actual web page for Edison Mail, it does say Edison products are joining the Yipit family. And when I read that, it sounded like they were going to join a kind of a corporate model. Like maybe they would then produce corporate. So maybe the purchase is coming from a corporate model only, but maybe individuals that this
I
is
don't know.
okay. But yeah, I am trying to remember why I've tried this before. I know I've tried it on my phone before because when I went to download it, it said, "Oh, do you want to download from the cloud because you have it?" There was some reason I chose not to use it originally, but pulling this up, I can't tell what that was, and it certainly looks
Well, and it might
better
have been
than
an
what I
older
remember.
it might
Yeah,
have been an older version that didn't have some of the features you needed. So,
that's true. Yeah. So,
well,
I can
I'm
see,
intrigued.
yeah,
Okay.
I can see this being useful and so we'll see. I think this will be one that I'll, as we do with most email or any regular used clients like this, it's going to take me probably a couple weeks. And if I'm still using it next week, then that's a really good sign because for me, if I find one little hitch that when I do something repetitively and it takes an extra step, I tend not to stick with it. But so far, so good. So I
Yeah.
will. I'll let you know, and I hope you'll give it a shot as well.
I'll
Maybe
be
we can
doing the
both
same
find something
thing.
happy. So
Look, I've already
yeah.
installed it. You have now dictated what I will be doing tonight, and that will be configuring email accounts
Yeah.
to try out email on this app.
Now, one thing I did notice, Alan, I don't know if where I showed you that it would give you a what was it, one mail account or something
Mm-hmm.
that it gave.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would then allow both of my devices to sync up because I did realize that it didn't give me that option when I set up my desktop. It didn't say log into your Edison account so that we can suck all your accounts in already. I had to restart.
Mm, yeah.
I wonder if that would do it, if that would tie them together. But
That is a good
yeah,
point. It's not actually saying log into a Edison Mail account that will
we know
then
who you
sync all
are.
my accounts with others.
Right. Right.
My hopes would be is that yes, you may have to go through manually and set up all your accounts on both desktop and mobile. But obviously, if you create folders like snooze folders or send later or any of those folders, they should translate to the mobile version and vice versa nicely. And I hope
Right.
templates would as well too. So
Yeah.
that'll be the kind of things to play around with and see. All right, well, Edison Mail. That's very interesting, Brian. I've heard of Edison Mail. There was some reason in the past to me as well. I did not use it. I don't know why that was, but reading it, looking at it, reading all the features, it is exactly what I need. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we will check back and see how we end up on this. So good.
Yeah.
Edison Mail. Okay, Brian. My last pick for the evening. It's an app that we discussed briefly when it was first announced. And I'm going to bring it up because I have kind of played around with it some more and found the use of this. Okay, this is the whole thing is that when an app is introduced, a new application, it typically has to kind of solve a need or find a purpose that like resonates with you right away. This was an app that Apple actually introduced. It's one of the first apps that Apple themselves have put out in quite a long time. When I first saw it, I'm like, I don't get it. And you and I talked about it, and we saw that there were some shortcomings or things that we felt like were not quite ready for us to kind of indulge and use on a more regular basis. But I have been using it, and I just want to kind of explain to everybody what we're talking about with this app. But it is that app Freeform that Apple put out just in the last maybe a few months ago. And it is a free app. It is an app that comes now on your Mac system. If you get the latest version of the Mac operating system, you will find that this app is already installed. So this is free. This is what's it called? Freeform. Yeah, that's right. Let me take off Addison Mail. Freeform is a free app on the Mac, and it is meant as kind of it's not a sketching app. That's one thing to kind of get out of your head. It's not meant for like a lot of sketching out of things. This is for more creating almost like the best thing I found for it is like an idea board or kind of I just want to throw the whole phrase. I want to throw some things on the board and just see what kind of comes out of it. So the way it works is you go in and you can create a board. So you see, I have 2 boards in my Freeform app. If I go up and create a third one, I have a fresh blank canvas. Now, the difference with this kind of canvas that we talked about in our news items when we discussed this, it is a moving, like completely infinite canvas to work with. So even though I'm at a spot where you can see with all the dots, if I scroll around, it just keeps scrolling, and it can keep scrolling kind of infinitely almost if you wanted it to. And I can change the view of it as well. Where this is really nice is that if I just want to take something as an idea, let's say if I'm brainstorming with a team, and I've done this with my own team, I say, okay, we're going to brainstorm new names or identities for our business or a new brand or name for some sort of service that we're doing. Now I can go in and start creating little post-it notes, and we put name ideas here. And I can decide I want to take this post-it note, I'm going to move it up here, and maybe I'll size it down a little bit more. Then I have an option if I want to put some text items up here. And I can say this is name idea number 1. Now once I've typed it, I can take it and move it. Put anywhere I want to. Let's duplicate that and do another one. I'll do item number 2. I'm going to move it right up here. Then now I want to put some shapes. And let's say I want to do an arrow. And here's my arrow. And I'm going to take the arrow and I'm going to point it in the direction I want to and map it to here. And then I can go in and change some of the sizes of that arrow. I can change the color. I'll make it kind of a magenta one there and so forth. Now, here's where things get kind of nice too, is that I can actually click on the photo or video button and actually put in photos from my own photo library and drop them in there. I can put in a link where you're not seeing the pop-up window, but it's actually just a little window asking me to put in the link. There, I just added a link to Apple's website just right here as a box, and I can kind of shape that box down a little bit more and have it there. So if somebody were looking at this board and I were to double click on that, it is now opening up in a browser window that link. So I have a link in there. And finally, if there was a file I wanted to drop in here, and again, you're not seeing the pop-up window, but there is a file dialog box popped up, and I'm going to put in one of our show note documents for this show right inside here. And now there's a file there. And if I were to double click on that file, it would open up the file for me. So you start to get the idea that I can take this and start to move it around. I can start doing connecting lines between different things. I can start to kind of really rough out some different ideas. Let's do some other shapes. If I want to do a circle, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to make that arrow. I'm going to change it and have the arrow coming from this. I'll copy this and I'm going to paste this and put another one here to point to the website. Again, imagine kind of people collectively looking at this and being able to kind of throw some of their own things on here. This is where Freeform does start to kind of look kind of interesting, is that you can now share this Freeform board with other people. And when you share it with other people, as long as they have a Mac that has this app installed on it or an iOS device with this app installed, they can then start editing and adding things to your board alongside you. So it becomes a collaborative tool. Brian, one of the issues we pointed out with this when we first explored this as an app is that we wish it was integrated with other apps that Apple made, like Apple Notes or To-Dos or something else, instead of it being a standalone app. And I still agree with that. I do feel like this ought to be something integrated with other collaboration tools, maybe with the other iWork apps like Pages or Numbers or something else. It's not, we're kind of dealing with that, but at least on a simple idea of, I want to have a tool where I can invite 3 or 4 people, say, hey, let's just throw some idea. We're trying to come up with something, or let's kind of shape out an idea, and we can all go in there and start editing and playing with things. Brian, I sent you a link by text right before the show.
Okay.
To a board, the sample board that I'm sharing. I don't know if you're able to.
Oh yeah, I can see it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So if you were to go in there, you should be able to actually edit a little bit of that. This is a board I just threw together real quick as a sample. I sent you a link to share it with me. So now that you're in it, I am assuming that you should be able to go in and actually edit that.
Yeah.
Do anything you want. Just feel free to just, yep, there you go. Brian is putting in some text, I see. This is cool, he puts. Very original. That's good.
So I can move things, just like,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm just watching yours. Okay, so there's a lag, obviously, but you would expect
it's
that,
a few
right?
seconds,
You don't want it.
but that's not
You don't want
bad.
it moving.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're actually able to go and add elements to it and move some of my elements around and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a truly collaborative board. I mean, the best analogy I can do is, let's say you've got a group of people in a room and there's a giant marker whiteboard on the wall. This is the closest thing we've got to that whiteboard experience. People just throwing things up there and other people coming and erasing or changing or marking up their own. And it's a collaborative process. That's the closest thing we've got with this. Is it a perfect app? No. Should it be better integrated with others? Yeah. Should Apple do a better job of promoting this? Absolutely. But if you know it's there, if you have a team or group of people you want to work with, and you want to collaborate on something more visually, and Google Docs and some of those collaborative tools are great for text, or they're great for spreadsheets, or maybe for PowerPoint slides. This is none of that. This is just, let's just start throwing stuff up on the board and see what we come up with. And it's a limited use, but I think for those purposes, it's a really good app for that. I think I just like it because of the simplicity. It is a really super simple app. If I can just kind of scroll down, I've got, again, copy of our show notes as a file. So if I were to click on that, it would open the file up. But again, I can kind of keep scrolling. I just want to kind of keep cascading more and more down. I can keep scrolling down the page, adding more items. Then if I want to zoom back and kind of take a bird's eye view at what we're doing, I can see that from a much, much higher level view. So brainstorming, idea generation, putting together visual mood boards or idea boards about something you're working on, taking a bunch of images and photos and files and kind of throwing them up at one place to be able to work and see them all in one place together. That's what this tool is really good for. So I do like it. Again, it's very simple. I can just have my boards. I can see my most recent ones. I can see the ones I've shared with other people. And if I tag any as favorites, I'll see those as well in that space. So that is free form. Again, I probably wouldn't be singing much of its praises if it was a paid app, but the fact that it's a free app that comes with any Mac or iOS system nowadays, I think it's worth checking out if there's an application where you think it could be helpful.
Yeah.
I've had more fun with it. I've had more fun with it than I expected to, and I thought it was just putting shapes and text up there. Dropping in images or video clips or dropping in files have really kind of made the difference for me, because I can actually start to really build something interesting when I drop in all those other assets.
Yeah. No, I was kind of confused by the app to begin with, thinking, all right, how is this really needed in their lineup, with notes and to be able to do a lot of this anyway. But I I, I have a feeling that there's something that they're working towards, or maybe this is kind of the playground that allows them to show off some of the other features that Apple is starting to move towards with collaboration. But I agree. There's certainly some brainstorming opportunities here, some sketching out of ideas, some whiteboarding that can be done really easily here.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's any opportunities for cross-platform? I don't know if you said that. No.
I haven't seen any. No.
Yeah. And so if you wanted to share anything with someone who was not on a Mac, would it just be exporting? Can you export?
I would
it
assume
at all?
so. I haven't tried doing that
Yeah.
yet to see what the
Yeah.
outcome would be, but that would be my assumption. I think they've pretty much pitched this as a Mac or iOS only
Yeah. Yeah.
tool at this point.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I think it's
So that's Freeform on the Mac. Again, free app if you have a Mac computer. Don't think there's any kind of cross-platform capabilities yet, but it's nice. It's helpful, and I have found some good use for it so far. So
yeah. No, that's cool.
all right.
Okay,
Well, I think
Alan.
that's all of our picks, right?
Yeah, it is. Can I end on somewhat of a downer note, unfortunately?
No,
I'm
you
sorry.
can't.
Yeah, I think I need to be completely transparent here.
What is it? What Edison mail is like $100 a month? Is that what you're going
No.
to tell me? Okay.
No. However, it doesn't look like Edison Mail on the desktop has snooze.
What?
Yeah, only iOS.
No, that's not right.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. And that's a bummer. Now, I don't use snooze very much, but I know you do, and so that could be a problem.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
You're right.
I'm sorry. Now, what I am going to test out is whether or not the iOS snooze connects at all with the snooze of some other apps. That's where I wish, like a snooze folder would be consistent across apps. Like everybody puts it in a snooze folder and therefore it's reading that folder. But I don't know. I don't understand why that feature would not be in there on the desktop. Seems like when you've already developed it on one side, it would be pretty easy to do. But of course, what do I know? So
Brian,
Alan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to depress you here at the end.
Between waking up to a busted water heater this morning,
Yep,
and then ending on this note, getting me all excited about a new email app that I think is going to work for me, and the one feature I need is not on one version of the platform, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So maybe that was why we weren't using it before. Now, for me, yeah. So for me, this won't stop me from trying the iOS app and playing with it. And then I'll see like how easy is it to go between maybe Mac Mail on the desktop and this on the iOS, because I'm already cross app, with these. But disappointed for that. And now I hope that that's one of those features that is kind of a turn on thing that might happen soon. It seems like they've certainly focused more attention on the iOS app. But looking at the ratings and reviews for this, it seems as though, there hasn't been a ton of reviews lately for the desktop. So obviously they put their attention on the iOS app.
Okay. Well, back to the drawing board. I appreciate the disclosure, Brian, because I would have gotten really ticked off later tonight if I found out.
I think I would have gotten a pissed off text.
You would have.
A couple more old fashions, and
I appreciate you owning up to
Alan's old fashioned wrath. So
I appreciate you owning up to it right here on the show with us. And thank you.
So let me just say, my pick is the iOS app. That was my pick. That's what I'm kind of excited about. I'm hopeful is useful, and I am not picking the desktop app. But you know what? Here's the other thing, Alan. I also wonder if some of these, if someone's created a snooze automation that can be used in any in any email application, right? Like having some automation that says, when I do this keystroke, take that email and put it here and do this to it. You would think that someone might come up with a strategy there, but
Yeah,
anyway, sorry to depress you. So
can we just wrap up the show now?
yeah, do you want to go, like, I don't know, find out what else is broken in your house, or what? Is that what you're
I need to go find some other things that are going to crap out on me today. I need to find more disappointments in my home and my life.
I'm sorry.
Oh, can I just tell you real quick? I mean, because we haven't gone to our normal duration of this show that we typically do. We got a couple more minutes to do that. I had a weird thing happen today with my phone. Never seen it happen before, and it kind of caused a little bit of an issue for me.
This is your iPhone, an iPhone.
My iPhone, yeah. So I don't know what triggered this, but at one point when I raised up my iPhone to take a look at it, and I happened to be in the middle of a conference I was helping manage and handling the keynote shows for. And so I'm kind of just sitting backstage, got about an hour and a half to kill until I have to go do anything while this thing's going on. I look at my phone. In my phone screen, it's like the entire phone screen had been magnified 10 times. So on my screen, I was looking at a fraction of my typical desktop view of the phone. And it will not, I can't scroll around. I can't touch and scroll around within it. It was just like I super zoomed in on my iPhone lock screen, and I can only see a corner of like an image I've got on my lock screen. And couldn't do anything, couldn't move around, couldn't slide around anything on my screen to get to where I needed to go. If I tried to, swipe up from the bottom to see if I could get like an app search to come up or anything, I could see it slide up. I could see what it was doing. Like it was interacting like my normal phone. I could actually see little pop-ups and widget reminders like in the bottom corner, but I can't scroll down to actually read all of them. I'm just seeing like a corner of them because I'm so zoomed in on the screen for some reason. So the answer would be, well, I just need to restart my phone because something's weird happening.
Right.
Here's the tricky thing. Here's the tricky thing. The typical way of restarting your phone on an iPhone is what? It's the down button and the side button, right? Pressing those.
Yeah. I think holding them down. Yep. And
holding
then you can't swipe, right? You can't swipe because you can't see it.
Let me just show you. If I do this, if I press and hold, it comes up to this screen, right? Where I have to swipe. But again, all I'm seeing at this point is like this little portion of my screen zoomed in. So I can't do any swiping. I cannot affect this in any way. Now, I thought I'd be clever and thought if I held them down even longer, maybe they'll just force a reset.
Do a hard reset or something. Yep.
Nope. If you do it longer,
it says, emergency
keep
services.
holding for an emergency services call.
Oh, shit.
So I saw that type of message pop up in the corner. Like I could see like emergency services, like, oh my gosh, the only way I can get out of this
to call 911.
To call 911.
help me fix my phone.
Right. My phone's not working. Help me, please.
Jeez.
So I'm just like, I don't know what to do now. I've got like an hour and a half. I'm sitting here. I desperately need to be reaching out to people. Things are happening. I need to get contacts out to people, and I can't use my phone at all. So I'll tell you, there is a little trick. I had to wait until the session was done. Then I went to go to a colleague's computer and said, can I just do a Google search really quick? I need to find a way to fix this. If you ever have to manually reset your phone, but you don't want to do the whole thing where you are having to swipe across the screen, you just want to do a true, like, I want a full reset of my phone.
Yep.
The like key is that you have to do up on your volume one time, press one time, press down one time, then press and hold the actual typical power button. And if you hold it for a few more seconds, it will shut off, or it should anyway. Hold on. Up, down.
Oh.
Nope. Sorry, hold on.
Yep.
I know this is terribly exciting, but we're at the end of the show. People have already left by now anyway. So
Yeah, that's right.
So
And
up,
nobody saw your password that you
down,
just entered, so it's okay.
press and hold the side button. I'm still holding.
Yeah.
Still holding. There it goes.
There we go. Okay.
I'm still holding that side button. And if I keep holding until the Apple menu pops up, there you go. That's a full reset.
And is that an actual, do you know, is that like a reset of Pram or any or network or any of that sort of stuff?
Restart.
It's just a restart. It's just a restart. Okay.
But it's basically the idea is if you can't for whatever reason get to where you can slide things on your screen, or maybe you're in a spot where you can't do that anyway. You just need to do a full reset of your phone or restart. It's up volume one time, just clicking, down volume one time, then press and hold the side power hold button until you see the Apple menu restart, and then you're good.
Nice.
So that's what it took. And once I did that, it cleared up. But it was the weirdest thing for I was kind of in a weird panic mode for a while.
Did you had just recently updated to the new update? No,
not anything.
It wasn't the 0.1 because 0.1 just came out a couple of days ago and pushed out.
No, it's prompted me to try to do that, but I have not done it yet. It was just weird.
I have heard, just for people to know, I have heard there's a couple of issues with that most recent update. Hopefully they're fixing that soon. Google Photos supposedly does not sync up anymore for people. But there's an update. Right. But that's weird. And it does sound a little bit odd. Right when you said it, I was like, oh, back when we did our accessibilities, did you leave accessibility on to where you accidentally did some weird multi-tap and zoomed in on something, but you couldn't even scroll around. Yeah.
Nope.
It's wild.
Couldn't do a thing. It was the weirdest thing, the closest thing to like a bricked phone I've had. Luckily there is a workaround for it, but it took me getting to another device to look up and find out how to do it because I couldn't look it up from my own device. So anyway, little side note, just helpful hint.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah. It's good to know. I did not know that keystroke. That's like the old video games that had multiple steps that you had to do in order to enter a certain mode.
Left, down. Yeah, that's same idea. All right, Brian. Well, I think we're done.
Cool.
We had 4, actually technically 5 good bits to share with everybody. So hope those were helpful. Although Brian's second one, I'm a little more down about now. So,
well, I did find that you could sync between multiple devices. You just have to go in and tell it which email you're syncing with, but
that's great.
It just happens one of them's not going to be useful for you. So sorry.
Yeah. All right, Brian. Well, if anybody does have to give us some thoughts or questions on any of the picks, or God forbid they give an actual really good email program we can try now, how can they get a hold of us?
Well, I would say you could send us an email, but I'm not really sure if we'll be able to get it.
I'm not going to use email.
Yeah. Send us an email at info@themesh.tv and tell us about other topics you want us to get into. New, if someone does have a great email app that they believe is cross-device, that does the things that Alan wants, that Alan, remember we had the discussion about how my dream was a communications app, not an email app, a communications app where you could write something and say, oh, put this on Facebook, put this on Twitter, send it as an email, do whatever, send it as a message. That's still my hope. Somebody needs to accomplish that. But
agreed.
Yeah. Anyway, send us an email. You can also go to our website, www.brothers-in-tech.com. brothers-in-tech.com. And Alan is now going to have another old fashioned. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and cue you, Alan, that you're going to be, firing up our closing here so that you don't get ultra frustrated about that. And then we are going to wrap this up.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. We will talk to y'all next time. See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.